Hello everyone, this will be Chapter 8 of A Second Life, written by Earl Connigan 6083, and read by Insect Overlord. Danny wasn't as cheerful when he walked Titus with Damien the next morning, and he was mostly silent during breakfast. His mood picked up a bit when he rebuilt a blanket fort in the sitting room with his dad, and they played with the hero action figures they'd bought yesterday. His dad was fantastic with thinking up all these crazy and wild stories for different heroes to go on. Danny didn't have any action figures of bad guys, so they improvised using some cutlery, a small clock, and other various items they could find, including a hat. After each caper, Nightwing and friends always saved the day. His dad tried to get him to have Batman or Superman be the main hero, as they were older and having been a hero longer, but Danny wasn't having it. Nightwing was a hero, the best one. Nightwing was definitely a team player, but he was also the team leader, and he always had the best plan. His dad was a little weird about that. The best Danny could tell was that he was flattered and embarrassed, but he seemed to think Danny was cute. Danny really couldn't understand why his dad felt that way. After playing for a while, they snuggled under Danny's Stars and Galaxies blanket in the theater room. They watched 2 Disney movies, Snow White and Bambi. They were both really good, but Danny's heart hurt. It hurt a lot when Bambi's mom got shot. He'd sniffled and cried a little, his dad stopping the movie and comforting him, holding Danny to his chest, pressing kisses to his forehead and rubbing Danny's back. Then they had to dress fancy. Standing in front of the mirror next to his dad, Danny had a realization. They looked so similar. They had the same black hair, bright blue eyes, olive-toned skin, and their face looked the same. He'd known that he was his dad's kid, but he hadn't known how similar they looked. To be honest, Danny didn't bother looking in the mirror often. He just didn't really care how he looked. Danny blinked in surprise that there was someone in the sitting room, sitting across from Grandpa Bruce. They were a broad man in a large, loose-looking suit and square glasses. His dad ushered him toward the couch. He hopped on, leaning and hugging his grandpa's side. Danny was rewarded with a flare of amusement and fondness in his bond with his grandpa, and a gentle patting on his back. Danny smiled to himself. Yeah, these bonds totally told him what his family was feeling when he was close enough. After his dad sat down, Danny leaned against him, eyeing the stranger. Hey there, Squirt. My name is Clark Kent. I'm going to be interviewing you and your family today, the stranger said with a smile. Danny squinted at him. Suspicious. He was one of those media people, like the ones who'd been following him, his dad, and his aunt yesterday. What's your name, buddy? Clark asked. Danny stared at him, but didn't respond. After a beat of silence, his dad hurried to answer. Sorry about that. He must be feeling a bit shy. This is Danny Grayson, my son. How did you find out about Danny? The reporter asked. I found out about him a little over a week ago, and I've loved him since the moment I saw him, his dad explained, the warmth and seniority in his tone causing Danny to duck his head and blush. He didn't think his dad had said out loud that he loved Danny before. Danny had known, of course, because he'd felt it through their bond, but it hadn't been said. How old are you, Danny? Mr. Kent asked. Danny slowly lifted his hands, showing 7 fingers. The man wrote it down on his yellow notepad. The reporter continued to ask questions, directing the majority of them to his dad and grandpa, but asking Danny some every once in a while. It was really boring, but he learned some interesting tidbits as he slowly slid down the couch. He wasn't called out for it till his head was on the seat of the chair. Danny, what are you doing? His dad asked, amused. Danny looked up toward him, noticing the warm smile on his father's face. I'm melting. You're melting? Did someone pour water on you? Why was his dad laughing? No, I'm melting because I'm bored. Hi, bored. I'm Dad. Danny groaned at the horrible joke, letting Dick pull him back up. That was terrible, Dad, he complained as he was placed in his father's lap, his core warming and humming as his dad pressed a kiss on his cheek. Danny squirmed, pretending not to enjoy his dad's affection, but he did. He really did. "Can you sit here with us a little longer, sweetheart? Then we'll take pictures and have dinner." That sounded okay, except... But what about Titus? I want to walk him with Uncle Damie, and they go on their walk before dinner. Okay, he was whining a little, but he loved Titus, and his uncle was pretty cool too. I'm sure if you ask nicely, Uncle Damie will wait to walk Titus until after dinner. He should be in his studio, which is right next to the library. Do you think you can get there on your own? Danny nodded excitedly, sliding off his dad's lap. Hurry back, chum, his grandpa called as he raced out of the sitting room. Remember, no running in the halls. Danny paused, then smiled mischievously to himself. His grandpa said no running, but he hadn't said no flying. Once he was out of sight, he floated up off the ground, then shot down the halls, grinning as he zoomed around corners, skittering to a stop in front of the library. Okay, his dad had said the studio was right next to the library. He began checking the doors on either side of the library. Danny was sure the adults were talking without him, which was fine because their conversation had been so boring. It was nice to hear about how much his dad cared for him, but Danny felt a little guilty. He hadn't known that in order to keep him, his dad had quit his job and moved away from Bloodhaven, where he lived. That his dad had moved back in with Grandpa, which, based on Mr. Kent's questions and from what Danny knew, was kind of looked down upon by society. Danny felt grateful. He didn't know his dad had done all of that for him, before his dad had even met him. He was brought out of his thoughts when he found Uncle Damien, sitting and sketching at the large, tilted desk with Titus at his feet. Upon seeing Danny, Titus looked up, his tail thumping on the floor. Setting down his pencils, Damien turned to face Danny, his face betraying no emotions. Giving Titus his head a quick pat, Danny hesitantly approached his uncle. Uncle Damie, you know how we've been walking Titus together?" "Yes, I am aware," Damien answered calmly. "Would it be okay if, you waited to walk Titus till after dinner, so I can come too?" he asked nervously. "Yes, I can wait." Damien stopped talking after Danny leaned forward, hugging him. Thank you, Danny exclaimed happily, before freezing slightly. He hadn't hugged Uncle Damien before, and the man had kinda given Danny the impression that he didn't really like physical touch. Danny looked up worriedly, his blue eyes meeting Damien's green ones. He needn't have worried, though, as Damien gently placed his hands on Danny's back. Grinning, Danny squeezed a little tighter, pressing his face into Damien. Pulling back after a moment, Danny waved and left. "Bye, Uncle Damien. See you at dinner." Danny didn't really give Damien the time to reply, zooming down the hallways once more, halting in the air before landing softly. Hopefully, his dad and Grandpa were almost done talking to this reporter guy. Oh, they weren't. Rather adorable. You should get out something that records low-frequency sound. You'll notice it right away. It's like a cat's purr. That's the only way I can describe it. Mr. Kent was explaining. The adults glanced at him as he entered. "We'll look into it," Grandpa Bruce told the man, all three standing up. "It's time for pictures now, Danny. Is Uncle Damien going to wait for you to walk Titus?" his dad asked. Danny nodded. Mr. Kent directed them to where to stand for the photos. We're gonna go after dinner." "Do you mind if I come too?" his dad asked, placing his hand on Danny's shoulder. "No, it would be great if you came with, but you have to ask Uncle Damie. Titus is his dog." Mr. Kent stayed for dinner, what? He hadn't understood why the man was here. His dad had whispered to him that Clark was a nice person, a nice reporter, and he was actually friends with Grandpa Bruce, which didn't really make a lot of sense, but whatever. His dad came along on their walk with Titus, Aunt Cass joining too. It turned out that the rest of the uncles and aunts didn't live at the manor. Most of them lived in Gotham, just not here in the big house. Dad said they could visit sometimes, which was exciting. Danny was curious what their places looked like. Danny had shot into the air in delight when his dad told him he would be visiting the heroes again, in 2 days. Danny had plummeted back to Earth, though, when his dad informed him that they'd have to travel by Zeta Tube. Why? Why did it have to be Zeta Tubes? Danny was wrapped up in his blanket on the couch, playing on his tablet. He was mindlessly playing one of those match-colored bubbles games. There were 3 or 4 of them on his tablet now. He just switched between them when he ran out of lives on one of them. Danny just wanted to not focus on anything, to shut his brain down. He really, really wanted to play hide-and-seek and other games with the heroes, but not if that meant he'd have to go into one of the Zeta Tubes. The timer went off in the distance, and Danny sighed. "Time for bed, Danny." He turned off the tablet but didn't get up, just pulling his blanket closer around him. "Danny," his dad said, coming around to stand in front of the couch. "Come on, you need to get up." "Can you carry me?" he whispered softly. He felt gloomy and lethargic. The Zeta Tubes were weighing heavily on his mind. His father's brow furrowed, and he leaned down, feeling Danny's forehead with the back of his hand. "You don't feel hot. Are you feeling okay, sweetheart?" "I'm fine. Just, Dad, can you carry me to bed?" Was this a dumb thing to ask? It didn't matter, though, because he was lifted up, blanket and all. "Not too heavy, am I?" he asked, slightly worried. "Not at all. You don't need to worry about that. I'm pretty strong," his dad told him with a grin. Danny was carried down the halls, his dad using his hip to wiggle the handle and open it. Danny couldn't help letting out a small giggle, watching his dad struggle with the handle. He was gently placed on the bed, and Danny reluctantly unwrapped himself from the galaxy blanket, his dad taking it, folding it, and placing it on the top of the dresser. Danny let himself be tucked in. He wanted to say something. He felt all mixed up inside. "Dad," he called, his father halting in the doorway. "Yeah, Danny?" Danny hesitated. "I feel weird. Inside. I don't know what to do." "Feel weird how?" his dad questioned, making his way back over. "Like, my emotions. They're all tangled." Danny attempted to explain. He wasn't doing a good job, though. "Do you want to talk about it?" "I think so." "Okay, where do you want to start?" His dad climbed onto the bed. Danny sat up, and his dad placed his arm over Danny's shoulders. "I want to go and play games with the heroes. I want to use my powers and stuff, but..." Danny took a deep breath. "I'm really scared of those metal cave things, the Zeta Tubes. It's like the feelings, they're fighting, and I don't know what to do." "Okay, what are your choices?" his father asked kindly. I guess go or don't go, but I'll be sad if I don't go, but I'll be really scared if I do, and then I won't have fun." "That's true. What if we tried to make you less afraid of the Zeta Tubes? Or, even though it would take longer, we could see if there was a different way we could get you there," his dad offered. "That might not be so bad." "How long would it take?" "Depending on how you travel, it could take anywhere from 3 to 8 hours. Danny frowned. That seemed like a long time. "Danny, why are you scared of the Zeta Tubes?" his dad asked softly. Danny squirmed uncomfortably. Had Grandpa and Uncle Jason not told his dad? The Zeta Tubes. They were in my nightmares the first night I came here." "I'm sorry, Danny. I didn't know they would scare you, or remind you of things from before." Oh, so they had told him. "I know the Zeta Tubes are different. They look different than that weird thing in the wall." "It was in the wall?" "Yeah, I was scared to go in, but there were 2 people behind me. One of them wanted me to go in. They didn't go in the tube thingy with me." "I'm sorry, Danny. How else are the 2 different?" His dad sounded so sad, and almost like he didn't want to ask some of these questions. It wasn't exactly something fun to talk about. The Zeta Tubes, they're smooth, and their light is yellow. It has that lady voice in it, and the other one, there were tubes and cables everywhere." Danny's breath hitched. His voice started to wobble, pressing his face into his dad. "There was no voice. It was just quiet and dark. Zeta tubes aren't dark. Then it turned on. There was a white light. It was so painful. I think it was electricity, and it hurt my heart. It hurt everywhere. Tears fell down his cheeks, dampening his father's shirt. "Oh, honey," his dad whispered, pressing kisses into Danny's hair, holding him tightly. "It's okay. I promise you that will never, never happen to you again." They laid there in silence for a moment, his dad's hand running soothingly up and down Danny's back. Danny sighed, relaxing. "Do you think I'll always be scared of Zeta tubes?" "I don't know. If you want, you can try to work on getting over your fear of them, but only if you want to," his dad reassured him. "Nightwing said he used the Zeta tubes a lot. Do you?" Nightwing is a hero, and I know that the heroes generally use the Zeta tubes to get around. It's a very convenient way to travel." Oh, that made sense. His other dad, Nightwing, wasn't scared of the Zeta tubes, nor had Dick been when he'd picked Danny up from the watchtower. Danny didn't want to be afraid of the Zeta tubes. He could be brave. He could. "Do you think it will be hard to hang out with the heroes if I can't use the Zeta tubes?" "It will be harder than it could, yes, but I'm sure they could make it work." His dad stroked his hair, comforting Danny. "Do you think I can practice tomorrow? Or try it? To see how scared I am?" Danny asked nervously. I can ask, see if there's a way we can try to test it. Are you sure you're up for that, Danny?" his dad questioned. I'm sure," Danny said, trying to sound confident. "Okay, you can back out at any time. I won't judge you, and neither will anyone else. If they do, I'll beat them up for you, okay?" his dad told him, tickling Danny's sides a little. Danny couldn't help the little giggle that slipped out. "I don't know, Dad. I don't think you can beat up Batman or Nightwing." "Oh? You don't think so?" his dad teased, ramping up the tickling. Danny giggled even more and began to try to get away. "Dad, no, stop!" Danny gasped out, laughing. His inner self thrummed and hummed in joy, reveling in the play and close contact he had with his dad. He laid back on the rumpled sheets as his laughter faded away. Danny was glad that his dad had stopped when he'd asked. Ancients, he loved his dad. Sitting up and crawling back to the bed, he wrapped his arms around his dad's neck. "Thanks, Dad. I feel a lot better now." His dad hugged him back. "Of course, sweetheart. You can talk to me about anything. I'll always be there for you. You're my son." Warmth surged through Danny. Emboldened, he pulled back slightly from their hug and kissed his dad on the cheek. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too, Danny. So much." His dad's voice cracked and wobbled, squeezing Danny tight against him. Reluctantly, the two separated, Dick tucking Danny into bed, his elephant snuggled up in Danny's arms, pressing a kiss to Danny's forehead. His dad whispered to him, "Sleep well, my little bird. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you." "Night, Dad. Love you too." Danny watched as his dad went toward the door and flicked off the light. His dad stood there for a moment longer, his silhouette illuminated the light further down the hall. When his dad stood there like this, he reminded him kind of his other dad, Nightwing. They really did look a lot alike. They had the same type of build, tall and lean, with the exact same haircut. It was really weird. His dad shut the door, plunging the room into darkness, except for a nightlight on the other end of the room. He didn't remember putting that there. It seemed to be star-themed. One of his family members had probably put it there. It was nice, though, that his room wasn't fully dark anymore. Sighing, Danny turned over, hugging Jazz tightly. He needed to sleep well, since he had to be brave tomorrow. He was going to attempt to use the Zeta tubes. This concludes Chapter 8 of A Second Life. I finished moving. Now I have a much better spot for recording, which is more comfortable, so I will be more inclined to record, because I'm not going to be sitting on my brother's super uncomfortable extra mattress or on the floor of the closet like it was before. So now I can actually sit on a bed to record. and I will hopefully be recording more often. I make no promises, but I will try my best. I hope to finish this fic soon. It says on my Kindle that I've finished 19% so far. So do with that information as you will. Thank you all for waiting so patiently for this next part. I hope it was worth the wait. That's all for now. Thank you so much for listening.